All right, and it says we are live on YouTube, so hot diggity doggies. It does say it does take a little bit of a lag. It says it's setting it up on YouTube, but when they go live, it will be us. Here we
Good.
go. We are live, babe. All right, took us a hot second for Oracle Stones. I'll rename it and all that other kind of fun stuff, but yeah. I think something didn't want us to do this.
Oh, absolutely.
Because what a bunch of BS, right?
Oh my God. Oh my
So how many
God.
times did you try going live? So I think
Oh,
that's important to know.
I did it half a dozen times. I've got the link and everything all set up. I already did practice runs. Everything was all a go. Everything was a green light, ready. Boom. What happens? Then I get a red message coming back saying error, 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 Mr. Robinson. I'm like,
Error.
no. Oh, and how many times did we try after that? No, but we are not going to be faltered. We're still going to continue on.
So
Make
in
make
our
it happen.
chat here inside Zoom, I just posted a link. So if you would like to copy and paste that to any of whatever you got going on, well, because the next time we do this, it's going to be Oracle Stones, and it's going to be through Roughshod Ramblings website on Rumble. So we might
Yeah.
have to watch our PDQs tonight, but not so much so in future.
Yes,
Because I
that's
don't
right.
like to be censored. I I think I'm kind of making a reputation at my day job for that. Just
So,
saying.
in our chat here inside
Oh, you
Zoom,
gotta mute what you got going on there.
I gotta
Yeah.
mute what I've got going on here.
Yeah, because I can hear myself talking from your YouTube. That's kind of funny because I do that right away. I'm just saying. I just do that right away.
Mate, they're gonna try to throw everything they can at us today. It's diabolical.
It is diabolical. All right, now, because I posted this a couple of times too for people that wanted to get on there. And I know I had Pui. All right. All right, and we are definitely. Oracle Stones, how we doing?
Yes, we're getting there. We're getting there. Oh, yes. It has been wonderful today so far.
Hasn't
All
it?
the all the challenges that they've brought us.
Challenges. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Whatever you say.
Like you said, everything happens for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
You can go one further, you can turn around and say, you preordained this.
I don't know about the ordained part, but it's definitely. I mean, you gotta. It's like you gotta really kind of take care of what we got.
Yeah,
So what happened today during my YouTube live was that it was like right now we've got this five of wands, and it's like, okay, we got this practice thing going on, and what's going to come in the near future is it's going to be the seven of wands. Real deal. Know your shit and get ready. And that's what happened. That's
yeah,
exactly what happened just now, right?
yeah, yeah. We're going to get through it. We are going to get through it. Right. I'm going to start by drinking my tea.
Yes, and that was one of the reasons why I think that we really wanted to start doing this is because I personally am pretty much a green stick when it comes to the divination tools because that was a taboo thing for me growing up. So for me to really kind of, I was the kid, oddly enough, that really did happen to me, where somebody threw me into a pool when I was like 4 years old, and I don't know how to
Yeah.
swim. I was
Yeah.
able to keep my head above water, but they had to come in and, because I heard somebody yelling, "She doesn't know how to swim!" And they scooped me up and put me up on the deck of the pool, on the really nice in-ground pool. Put me up there, and I was like, but I'm still that kid that I will jump in the deep end of the pool when it comes to knowledge or experiences. And that's why people probably think I'm a little loopsy doodle. I'm not going to use the C word. Honestly, right? That's the kind of thing. If you're open and you're open minded, that's how it's really gonna work. Hi,
Yeah.
Rose. Phoenix is here. Hey, Yowza.
Hey, good to see you guys. We
Good to be
finally made
seen. It's good to
it.
be seen rather than viewed.
Yes. Yes, we finally made it. Oh, the forces are strong today. The force is going to be with us, Luke.
Woo.
Yes. So I brewed myself a little tea earlier. It's just a normal leaf, nothing fancy. And I've swirled it a few times. You can see. Here we go. I don't want to spill it everywhere, just in case I do. There we go. So you can see there's still liquid in there. You'll see the tea leaves once I finish drinking it. So, all right.
But I think my whole story about the frickin' pool was that I don't typically I'm not exposed to a lot of this stuff because of the Christian background and growing up and all that. So it was good to find somebody who is solid in their knowledge and skills with these other modalities, because I think that they can be very helpful to all of us, because we all have access to all of these things. It's just a matter of reopening those channels, not tapping in, not connecting. We're already connected. We just have to clear out those channels. We need a spiritual roto rooter. All in the state, right? Let's get it cooking. So, do you have the tea leaves for something that has already been kind of a query or a question?
No, this is for myself, my own personal ones, because I'm not doing a reading for the collective through tea leaves. Just that I'd have to do a big, I would go through my own mental state, would tell me that I would have to prepare certain plants and go through all the shaman side of it and say, okay, um, yeah. And anyway, moving on. So I look at this different in different ways. I grew up watching people around me, like, the women folk, and there's some guys that did it as well. I mean, cousins were knitting at an early age and stuff. There was none of this gender-based bias. If you're knitting something, then you must be this way or that. Well, no. If it was a skill that you were going to need to keep yourself safe and warm, then you're going to teach yourself how to do that, aren't you? So the tea leaves I got from just sitting around the old girls watching them. We call them kamatua over here. So anyway, I have a couple of ways of doing it. So today I decided I'm going to do this come hell or high water, whether it's a cup or otherwise. I know what I had in mind of finding to do this, but it did not work out. So this is my miniature mortar and pestle. The other half is on the bench out there. This is for doing my delicates, the really strong medicines like papaya seeds. If I only want a little bit, I can just, yeah, anyway. long story short. So I brewed my tea and I drank it. I let it sit. I gave my intentions. So once I had sipped it, I do a certain swirl, a certain way, and then I reverse it the other way, and then I drink it, and I swirl it again, and then I'd have another drink of it. Then I turn it upside down. I place my hand on top of it, what is now the bottom is now the top, and I think about clear intentions. What do I want to see in these leaves? What do I want the leaves to tell me? Right? So show me. And they only have a limited amount of time to be able to show you. So then I turn it back over. Now on the bowl, there are three areas that I read from. There's actually a heck of a lot more, but the three basic areas are the past is at the bottom. Some will say the present is in the middle, and some will say the present is at the top. Now, the present I say is at the top because you are sipping from the top of the cup. So this is in your present, and the future is in the middle. So then once you've got that in, you turn your chalice around 3 times one way, 3 times the other way, with clearing intent. And however you do it, you do it. And then you tilt your cup. So I'm looking at it with the handle would be over here on your teacup. So you can turn it round so the handle is on the left hand, depending on which hand you use when you're drinking. To me, it doesn't really matter. Whatever shows up, I turn it the opposite way. Da 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 da. So then I'll tilt it. And what have I got? So here we go. Read my tea leaves. Read my tea leaves. So we have present, past, and future. What can you see?
Are you asking? Are you asking the peeps in the chat, or
I'm
what?
seeing a chicken learning how to fly, running really rapidly to try to take off. So there are the feet down the bottom here. There's the legs, right? There's the beak right there, the head and the beak. And there's its butt ring. And then its wings are up here, okay? And it's running as fast as it can. It's learning to fly. Right? So that's one way. So there I go. I'll break it into the three. So in my past, all right, in the past there was going by the tea leaves, going by the tea leaves. There is this connection that whichever position I am in, and that will be the strand that comes up the side here and has an arrow facing upwards at the lip. Okay, so past and present and future are all joined by that one strand with that arrow. I get a lot of arrows. I get a lot of arrows, and they give me some direction. They'll point up, sideways, wherever, but I get a lot of arrows in my readings. And the feet are in the future. That means I'm not stopping. I'm not standing still. I've got a path, I've got a direction, and I'm taking it. I read a lot of stuff. When you get a clump like that, you're not scattered. It's not scattered. So it's like brought into one. So the condensing of it, the solidification of it is showing. So it's really hard for me to read for myself on live camera.
I don't blame
But
you.
I've got it together, mate. It's telling you, the tea leaves tell you, I've got it together.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say because I think arrows just traditionally are a representation of direction, focus, It's like a strength. I mean, even the Bible talks about the, arrows in the quiver. It's like a family. So, and when you have family, and there it was referring to literal bloodline, but that could also be support. Familial support that is not part of your bloodline. Could even be something more spiritual as far as a supportive family.
Yeah, yeah. I don't see the connections in this. I don't see the ties in this. Even when I turn it round to the other way, that's still whichever way I look at it. And for me, reading a horoscope, I don't just stick to my personal horoscope. If it's a not one that I'm appreciating at that time, I'll find one that I like and I'll go with that. So that's how I work. So like I don't just go by reading it one way. I like to see what the full picture is. So if I turn it around and see that there's you get two creatures on each side and they're both walking forward. So that's a forward motion. So this is going to be in my future because it's a forward motion. And then once again, I've got flight above the head of this creature. So there you go. I'll show you again. Wait a minute. I'll get to the right visuals. Oh, geez. How can I show you this? Okay, so that's on a different angle of it. So you can see the creature there. It's got a face, got a head, and then it's got another bird-like creature above it, right? When you can see the feet, you can actually see it's facing forward. So, and it's coming from the future. So there's a connection there. There's a future connection there because it's at the bottom, and the middle part is, in the what is it in the present. So, I'm enjoying what I'm doing right now. The messages that I'm getting are just basically confirmations for me. You get different shapes, you get different sizes. The best way to go about this is once you've done it, once you've got your pattern there, don't look at it directly. Don't look at it straight away, right? Give yourself a second. You know what your intentions are for what you want, what do you want? What's your question? Okay, so from your question, the answer will be in your cup. This is your cup. So when you drink it down, when you move your hand away, look at it and look at it from a distance. Give yourself a couple of minutes to look at everything that's going on within those tea leaves. The shape of those tea leaves tells you a story. They tell you a direction. They give you where their leaves point gives you information, whether they're spread out, whether they're clumped, whether they make an arrow. You're going to get a lot of information comes from just looking at the tea leaves in your cup. You don't have to have a full-on one. I just happen to have ground down tea leaves. So if you want a different type of reading, I suggest if you're starting out in Tessemancy to start with the fuller leaf. Okay, start with the fuller leaf before you go down to the grinding down of those leaves. I do it because the intensity of flavor, I get more hit from my cup of tea once I've ground them down. It's more concentrated. It's
Right.
concentrated. So when I do a cup like this is like the tea leaves are a concentrated reading for myself, right? I can say, I want to know something about the public in the next 24 hours, and the leaves will tell me something. And then I can find myself in a position where, however I've got there, that's another side of it, but the tea leaves are going to appear and they're going to show me everything they told me will appear in front of me. And so it's a very short time span before what I see in the cup that they actually start to show me. So Any questions on that? I got to take a photo of this. This is a pretty good reading, actually.
None so far, but it's kind of interesting that you bring that up, though, too. What would be the difference between, I mean, like even just getting the tea leaves, where you're getting them from, could have an impact on the reading itself, whether you're buying it in a store or whether you're growing whatever leaf that it is you're going to use for your own tea. Could be raspberry. You got a raspberry bush in the backyard. You
Mhm.
could do raspberries. Whatever you got hanging around outside. That's something you could probably use. So, what do you think would be the difference between buying something that's store bought as opposed to doing your own?
Yeah, well, I don't do store bought. Um, when they started bringing out the suspicious, I call them suspicious tea bags because they were finding all sorts of creepy crawlies in these tea bags. And so I basically had all these blackberry leaves and raspberry leaves and wineberry leaves all around me. So I started collecting them. And then because I do nettle teas and stuff, I started doing nettle tea. So I started drying everything out. Started drying out avocado stones or avocado nuts, dry them out, and I make a tea out of those. I started making teas out of everything. It's like the water holds memory, it holds knowledge and information. So do the leaves and the seeds and the plants. So depending on where you want to go with, where you want to get the information from. So they're going to, every plant or every tea leaf that you're going to have, if you ask them all the same question, you're going to get different answers because of different experiences, because of different connections of memory and water. So, what I see myself doing is I'm basically trying to harness the most purest of information that comes from the plant. And sometimes that's like doing an ancestral DNA dive into the taste and the flavor of the plant. It is. You're going to, when you do it, it's a very, I mean, if you look at some of the cultures out there, they do a lot of tea rituals. When you go into some of the more native cultures will share a pipe or they will share a bowl of tea. Some cultures share a bowl of milk from a yak or something. Ugh, just give me a leaf in some water or even just stick a stone in some water and boil it up, and I am happy with that. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
Susan said that's freaking cool. I've made paint spray from the avocado seed, but never tea. So something new to try. Always fun, right?
yes, yes, yes.
Always do
It
something new.
if you've got it's got different areas in it. If you're concerned about brain fog, I seriously say have some avocado tea. And all these different teas, when you start getting into your teas and your tinctures and your poultices and listening to the voices and the feeling states around you, you go with what the body starts telling you or directing you to. And if you've got it on hand, like you've got your ginger root, you've got your yam, you've got your rhubarb root, and the list goes on and on. When you've got your roots, your body will work like a pendulum. It will work like those divining rods, right? It'll tell you what it needs and where it needs it. It's, are you listening? I mean, do you stand there and do you practice standing meditations until you start realizing you're swaying so fast that you've got to put your foot down to rebalance yourself? All of this is there for all of us. and we've forgotten how to practice it. So, that's why I'm here. This is one of the things I'm doing. So I was brought up doing this stuff. I don't know where all of it, the knowledge comes from. It's just something that I do. Okay? I just do it.
Yeah, and I, the whole the Susan said I made dandelion sun tea on the porch today. My mom used to laugh when she was, seeing that people were trying to get rid of the dandelions on their lawns, with all this chemicals and stuff. She kind of laughed. She goes, I don't know why people are doing that. She said that was food to us. The whole
Yeah,
plant, the root, the leaf, the flower, everything what
yeah,
was food to them. I mean, she grew up in the Depression or towards the end of it anyway. Uh, that was a really important food source for them, especially if you lived in, well, it was Detroit, but they were probably outside of, you know, the city part. They still had to fend for themselves, though, you
yeah.
know, and was kind of funny. Not that this has anything to do with anything, but my uncle actually said that he remembers he got really excited when he was a kid when they moved into the house that my dad had built, and there was one house that they had before that he got super excited about was because it had an indoor bathroom. That meant no more trips out to the backyard, at 2 o'clock in the morning in sub-zero weather. So there are a lot of things I think that we have, and I don't know, yeah, we do forget about them, and it's almost like that neglected garden
It
that we're
is.
not yeah, and I think about that too all the time, Arizona, about edible so-called weeds. They're not really weeds. It's because of our culture has taught us that those are weeds and they need to be pulled out. So you freaking killed me. I have a whole bunch of plants in my backyard that I'm buzzing over with my lawnmower. It's like, oh, kohlrabi, related to the kohlrabi plant, right? So I mean, there's all kinds of edible stuff out there. Echinacea is
Yeah.
grows naturally out here. I mean, you don't want to have it all the time, but echinacea is really good. This is not medical advice.
Yeah,
Seek
just
medical advice through your licensed practitioners, please and thank you.
yeah,
This is just what we do.
yeah, yeah. Oh, look, I've got everything. I mean, just recently they hit me with rhubarb root. So I've done some, I've prepared it, I've dried it out, is in a jar ready to go. I just got to grind it down into a powder and then have it as a tea. Let's see what happens with that. And this was amazing. I've got to do this because when I got these pots of, it had a little label in it and it just looked like empty dirt pot, right? And the lady said 50 cents. And I said, oh, is that each? And she goes, oh, no, I can't see any plants in those. There's nothing in there. And she said, why are you spending money on dirt? And I said, oh, it's probably the only land I'm going to get to own, isn't it? So anyway, I brought it back home and stuff, and I don't know, just dumped it in the garden and just let it do its thing. I said, oh, I hope for the best. And now I've got so much rhubarb root. It turned out to be some sort of prehistoric dwarf rhubarb. How do you get a prehistoric dwarf rhubarb? I mean, the leaves are big, but then when you see the roots, it's like, oh, wow.
Hmm.
Okay, because I grew up just eating the stem and
Yes.
then using the leaf as a poultice.
Okay.
So I never got into the root side of it, yet I had seen it done. I grew up with them doing it to the kumara, all right, and ginseng and ginger and turmeric. And then there was the yams, and then there's the sunchokes, and then there's the yucan. So all these roots became quite important and they're all in mini doses. It's not something like when you go to have a tea for a reason. You actually don't need the quantities that we put in. You need less is more when you're drinking tea or coffee. I mean, when you look at what we're putting in, and it's not just about the plant itself, but the intentions. Everybody says, the ad is sit back and relax while you have a cup of tea or have a cup of coffee and those are the adverts. To a certain degree, that's what happens, but we start off with a teaspoonful at one time and we stick to that and it gets higher and higher. But when we start off with half a teaspoon, that's all we ever need. We don't need any more than that. But we've already trained ourselves to want more when we didn't actually need it. And then people ask, oh, I'm getting the jitters, or I'm getting twitchy eye syndrome, or my vitamin D is being leached. And, where is it going? Well, the caffeine needs something to keep itself going, so it's going to look for it too, because you're feeding that every single day. So, getting into the plants and the whole aspect of it, it's like, wow, you
Yeah.
know,
I know, and then that's the whole thing too, what you said is like people have forgotten. People have forgotten that the food, yes, the food things that you put in your mouth, that's a very sensitive area of the body and has all those sensory receptors in that area for a reason. It wasn't just for danger, because a lot of times something can taste very good and it's very dangerous, but it is medicine. They used to drink lead out of lead glasses, lead crystal, and they used to drink lead. And it got them frickin' high, but it also made them frickin' stupid.
yeah,
So, just because something is natural doesn't necessarily mean it's good for you. But again, it is medicine. It is definitely medicine. When I was practicing massage therapy, I had a contract with a physical therapy office that specialized in spinal injuries and rehab. The gentleman that was there that was a physical therapist, he was studying at that time to be an osteopathic doctor. He was born in Poland, grew up there, and came to the States. And one of the conversations I had with him was about how he thought that it was kind of weird that we had to go to a pharmacy to
yeah,
get medication, because his uncle, who was a medical doctor, not a pharmacist by our standard, but a medical doctor, who he said if he would see a patient come in, do whatever diagnostics that he would do, and he would go back in his chemistry lab and put together whatever it was,
yeah,
poultice, tincture, whatever he was gonna, what that was custom made for that particular patient. And he would hand that off to them. So he found it very odd that you had these huge manufacturing companies making these so-called medications for people. Again, this is not medical advice, but this is just to show you how diverse or how far that the so-called Western or modern medicine has come from the things that are a lot more organic, and they try to they isolate the components for the medications. They say it's, oh, we take these, it makes it more effective, da da da, but it may have an outward effect, but then again, you have these other things that people try to call side effects. If you're taking
yeah,
something, it's not a side effect. It's an
yeah,
effect. It's an effect of taking that. Even if it's something that's plant or oriented,
yeah,
it's an effect of taking that. And that's what the kind of the philosophy has gone to the wayside, is that Western culture has demonized the natural and the nature that we have. And I think people are starting to make that resurgence back into going local, getting things,
yeah,
growing it yourself, if you can, whatever you can. I mean, do a farmer's market. I mean, even the local, we were talking about local when we were trying to figure out this whole game. We talked about, we got to make, you said, we got to make sure we touch on shopping local. I think that's going to
Yeah.
be huge.
Community, communities, you know. I mean, oh, this has been driving me crazy this week. So we've got a whole lot of things going on. We're being forced into a situation of war. And whether we like it or not, it's happening everywhere on the planet. We're all going to feel it. And it's like, do you know what's in your cupboards? What preps have you got? Have you got seeds? Have you got your seeds for your herb garden that you're going to need to grow maybe somewhere else? It's like, what does your family eat most of when produce wise, when you're at the supermarket? Do you know how to make cheese? Do you know how to milk a cow or a goat? These things may become important again. When I look at the things that I do, the different forms of divination, it's all forms of communication. It's all forms of communication. Yeah, communication with the plant, communication with the community. I started up a soup kitchen because I seem to be in contact with a lot of people who had veggie gardens. And when they grew their stuff, they grew too much of it in one go. So instead of throwing it out, we started giving it around the neighborhood. And then the neighborhood started giving back. And before we knew it, we were all supplied with vegetables and fruit, and we had too much. So with the excess, we took it down and we started a soup kitchen 1 day a week. That soup kitchen is now a regular thing and it goes for 2 days a week. It also has clothing available. It has, different resources. It turned into an area where we might be able to help you find a roof over your head or a shirt on your back. And, because it became a community group you know. Um, and this is the same now. Do you know anything about dentistry? How to avoid those pains? How to clean out the infections if you get an abscess or, you know, how to try
Yeah,
to
I think
save
the
your
point is
teeth.
avoiding the abscess, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, for years, they've taken what we've known off the land and they've synthesized it.
Yep, you said it right. Synthesized. Yep.
Yep. And what goodness do we really get from that? Nothing, just another effect for the body to try to assimilate. It's foreign, so it's going to have issues. It's going to have foreign body syndrome, which equals shock, eventually toxic shock. So when we go, oh, I'm aching over here, I'm aching over here, and yeah, I had fibromyalgia. I was extremely sensitive to all the frequencies and stuff out there. And I found that just like metals, just like the jewelry, just like the clothing, certain foods aggravated it twice as much. So I had to stop eating certain foods. I ended up having to move out of that location for my own sanity.
Mm.
That's still out on judgment, but we'll see how we go. But it
Wow.
does, it does, it comes down to knowing your plants, knowing the frequencies around you. When we do this, I mean, I hear voices all the time, but they don't do me any harm. It's just like a spare set of hands, actually. It's like I'm on my way out the door or something. Don't forget this. Don't forget that. Make sure the oven's switched off. You know, first initial thought, you have your checklist, you check it all off. You know what you're doing. And then the voice will kick in, oh, don't forget to put the seat down on the toilet.
Ugh.
Just so, and
Yikes.
it's like when you go out, when you've done these and you go out and then you come back and you go, oh, that's out of place. That was the last thing I did before somebody's been here. The body and the mind are absolutely incredible when we start communicating with ourselves about it. And so when I'm reading the cards, it's like I get this massive ass message that just like, whoa, okay, slow down. So what I do with my readings is my forms of divination is um I'm developing this method and it seems to be quite good. It seems to be quite good. I'm enjoying it. I do runes. I have rune bones. That was a gift. The person who gifted it to me told me a story about having to eat all these chickens to get to the bones to turn them into rune
It
bones.
had to be rough to hear when you're a vegetarian.
Well, those were in the early days,
Okay.
those were, it's all about growth.
Yep.
So now I honor those chicken bones.
Yep. Exactly.
So, where does honor come from? We develop it. We become proud of ourselves. Pride is one of the sins, but you have to have a little bit of dignity, people, in yourself. How, in the moral compass that's out there. You have to have that. That's yours, and this is how I am with the cards and the bones and the rods. Oh, I love the rods at the moment. I'm pretty sure everybody in here plays with divining rods. And then I
You
have
know
the
what? Yep. What else you got? You were talking about too. I mean, what was the other thing too, though? I think it may have been the bones, and I think that is the most intriguing because it has the most personal attachment, the most personal reference, and it's very specific to you. Now, I know some readers will say, yep, I know some readers will say that they don't purchase their own cards. They only receive them from people they know, and they don't buy cards. And I find that really interesting. If I held to that, because it's got to be different for everybody. If I held to that, I wouldn't even have one single deck.
yeah,
I would
yeah,
now I kind of feel like I'm a little bit of a funnel because I've given people decks.
yeah,
So I'll see something that feels really good, look into it, do a little research on that deck, and then I'll go, okay, and I'll get like two or three of them, and I've given them away.
yeah,
I've just whoosh. So I feel like that I'm maybe like a conduit for that sort of thing. Something though that you had mentioned that, is something that might be important again as far as going back to those original like a foundation of what humanity was or what we're told humanity was a long time ago. We were a lot more self-sufficient. You said that may be important. It's important. I think it's important now because if you prepare for what's coming, it's
yeah,
not necessarily you're not gonna you might be still a little anxious and you might kind of stumble and fumble, but you still have the building blocks to not only help yourself but to help other people.
yeah,
So, yeah, and Susan, what's kind of funny is that again, I have a very Christian background, and my one sister who is I just don't know, so I'm talking who she I'm telling you, man, it's like really, really a staunch Christian. So when she had told me that it's like, oh, a friend of mine said she wanted to do um um I wanted to buy one of your pyramids. I said, "Oh, okay, no problem." She goes, "Yeah, but just so that she reads tarot." So this kind of tells you how disconnected I've had to be from family because
yeah,
I feel like that these were very, very different energies, a different sort of feeling of it's like when I started to get into this stuff, and I'm talking about just reading and being more open about these different modalities, it's kind of like I feel like I'm home with this.
yeah,
And it was only at Christmas that my now 31-year-old son tells me he's he's reading tarot. It's like, dude,
yeah.
let
Uh,
me. It's like, well, I have to borrow. Blah. I gave him a deck of cards. So it's that kind of thing as we kind of open up. I think this is also being proud, and you mentioned the word pride. Pride is not a bad thing. And I'm
No.
not talking about what people talk about pride in the contemporary sense. This is a healthy sense of pride and self-accomplishment. You realize I am, people are going to get off their nut about this, but we are divine. I am
Yeah.
divine. I have every single aspect, and it's about getting that roto-rooter puppy back out and clearing those channels out and
Yeah.
and getting the good stuff flowing.
Yeah.
Getting out what we need to get out and getting in what's going to be really kind of part of that overall expansion. Um, are we supposed to do readings? Are we supposed to ask if somebody
Yes, we can.
wants something? I know you had something that you felt was kind of predestined as well.
Me? Oh, yes, I've written some I've got my side all ready to go if there's anybody in the audience that wants to have a reading done, I'm happy to do that today. I can't see the page, so
Yeah, I kind of split my screen up and I think we both realized that there is a little bit of a lag. I don't think it's a minute lag, but I know uh, it's probably a few seconds of a lag, but it's not terribly bad on YouTube. Okay,
uh,
so Arizona Raven, she would love. What modality would you like to see, AZ? I actually met Arizona when I was in Arizona. I hooked up with Augie for a day, and then I went up over and visited Arizona in Arizona.
okay. Okay.
Nice place, nice place. But what modality would you like to kind of see Stone bring to fruition? Yeah, pendulum. I have like a love-hate with pendulum, bro. I'm not kidding you.
I
I'm
have
allowed to say bro because we've already established that we've been battle buddies. All right.
Yeah,
With
yeah,
with a full
absolutely.
masculine kit. I'm there on that one.
Yep. Okay, so what I do is I have got a reading for rune, card, and book. So I do bibliomancy. So I'll have the intent, the thought, the question all ready to go, and I'll just open up whichever book I come near. And then I only take the first three words and I write those down. Then I move on to my rune bones and I pull out the sigil and I know the meaning of the sigil, whether it's what element it is connected to and what the message behind the sigil is. Then I go to, so I've done the book, I do the cards. Now I've got the small old macabre deck that I use, but I'm also developing three other decks at the moment. Now you can develop your own decks with your own meaning to them. We do not have to stay in one modality. When I first started, it was just watching people playing normal playing cards. But then when the cards came alive to me and started talking to me, and nobody could see the messages. Like I'd go and I'd be that little kid that's in that room, and you've got your mother talking to another woman, and she's reading the cards for that other woman. Now, when I'm looking at the cards and I'm listening to what she's saying, it's different to what I'm seeing in the cards. But I have to listen to the cards because they gave me a different type of, I could hear them differently than the voice of my mother. It weird, like it's too weird to explain. So I'm making my own sets of cards from photos that I have taken. You go out there, you take, and you get a meaning. So I've got some amazing photos, and I've just decided, no, I've got my cloud deck, cloud communication. This is a very old form of divination. The Indian peoples would look up at the sky to see what the sky was going to tell them, whether it was going to be weather, whether it's going to be fortuitous, whether there was a visitor coming, it would come in the form of clouds. So I do that as well. And so I'm making a pack like that.
Right. So,
Anyway, and
yeah,
then I
Arizona would like for you to maybe take a hot second and figure out which one aligns with Arizona most. She feels like that maybe you can.
okay, so I've got my list and I'll ask the pendulum which one it says is for you. Okay, so pendulum. My feet are on the ground. I've got clear intent. I'm asking the pendulum to show me which one they would say. Okay, this is coming from a spiritual side. We've got down here. All right, so we've got it. All right, so I have your reading here. All right, so we have from the rune bone, we have Thurs, which is the giant. Okay. We have change. We had disruption. We had chaos. We had emotional. It was a connected to. So I'll move on to the cups. I get emotional openness, creative inspiration, and then on the book I got clear sentient and clear empathic. So through an emotional connection that you had with someone, that was disruptive to your current flow, your artistic flow, your creative flow, your energy flow. So you had a blockage there, but through your when I say clear empathy, I'm talking feeling states. You're a sensitive. You know stuff before it happens. So if you had if you had any doubts about somebody, that's basically going with your first instincts because you're already an empath. You're already aware of the capabilities that could happen. And then when they showed up the way that they did, it didn't take as long for you to get over that and sorted to the next creative project. And the creative part is the creative project. You're going to use that energy from something just recent past, and it is going to be a positive energy that you're going to use, and that what could have made you stay in a stuck state and made you upset, now you're just going to smile and you're just going to brush that shit off. Gone. All right? Because that's you going, that's confirmation of myself. I did this and I'm going to take that step forward. So that's what I get from the card, the book, and the runes for you. So I hope that meant something. And if it didn't, let me know. Let me know. I'm like,
I don't know,
we're all
man. I know.
learning.
I feel like I feel like I know Arizona pretty good, and I mean that I don't know. It kind of felt like I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Oh, okay, that makes sense. And you know, with whatever is coming, it feels like things are gonna move pretty quick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But there's like this like not really a solidity, but whatever is in the mind and the thoughts and the what do you call it? You know, how we talk to ourselves, our inner dialogue, is going to be heart opening, and it's going to be that whole. It's like a family setting. And it's going to bring
Uh,
all this stuff together.
Yeah.
That kind of feels like that's kind of augmenting. And I might be cheating a little bit because I do know Arizona. You know, we text every now and a blue moon, but yeah, we're definitely gonna have to hook up. She plans on coming into my part of the woods in the summer, fall. We're gonna have to definitely hook up and you know just have some fun. I think that's important too. But
Oh
anyway,
yes, it is. It
yeah.
is.
So Susan also asked for a reading, and if Susan wants to let Stone know what would be helpful.
Well, we already got contact. Okay. There's already someone here with a message because I just like out of nowhere something just moved and made a noise. So we just see how it goes.
Like I got a horn.
All right. Here we go. Okay. Pendulum, are you ready? All right. I would like a reading for Susan. Show me Susan's reading. Okay. We're getting cards and book. All right. Well, which one? Show me which one. All right. Number 3. All right. That's Susan. Put your name there. Okay. We got Othala, which is it's like a fish facing upwards. Okay, you know the stick figurine that looks like a fish goes upwards. Okay, so I get ancestral heritage, inheritance. I get from the cards. I get observe, mental agility, and communication. And from the book, we get energies at the moment of firing. Oh, all right. There's something else coming in too. So I've got to take a location point. So on this one, I get this when it comes to ancestral heritage, and then it says inheritance. And then we've got the mental agility, observe. So you're watching someone who is from your line, your family line, who the mental agility is starting to fail. And communication at this time is very important. Energies at the moment of firing. I see that in ebbs and flows. I see that as when you are in contact with this person, you need to hold that high energy frequency. And then when you leave that space, then let it out. Let it out. Blow it out. Okay. Um, yeah. There's someone around you that you are paying attention to, because when it says heritage and then it says inheritance, and you get the two in the same category, for me, I'll look at that as someone's due to move on. All right, this is a bloodline, this is a family member. So someone you deem as a family member, especially when it says heritage, okay, they're going to go. So it's observe, mental agility. They can still communicate. You can still communicate. You could still get any of those messages through that need to get there or not. So there's that big communication factors. But I would say be aware of your energy at the moment. Don't be tempted to let anybody in to harvest any of that extra energy you've got. So that's what I see for you, Susan.
A conserving of strength.
Yeah.
Almost like an inventory taking, and not so much for saying, oh, I have this or I don't have that and I need to build it up. It's more of I need to take inventory, um, just knowing that I've accomplished what I've accomplished. Um, It's almost like a two of pentacles, where you're kind of okay, I got this over here. It's not like you're really trying to make a decision, but it's like things are just kind of here and there's this assessment, there's some planning. But again, it's like you're saying you want to it's not really a guarding, but it's an assessment of this is what I've got, this is my ability. And I am going to only share it when I deem it to be perfect. And it's not being like overly protective of yourself, but it's metered. You know when to let it out and you know when to keep it back.
Yeah. I wouldn't say it's a bad thing. I
No.
wouldn't say it's a bad thing. I would say
Mm-mm.
this is an opportunity to say, you know, what you feel at this time. And I mean, anybody that comes in that knows myself or Auric will know that, we don't beat around the bush too much. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen. We're all aware of this. So it's just how we're going to handle it when it does happen, and it happens. And it's more so, okay, yes, let's do the best we can. Let's make some awesome memories. We got this opportunity. We got this insight. And this is how I see it. This is our gifts letting us know that we can see a different part of this picture. We're interacting with this whole different reality. We've always been doing this, but now we can do this. And that's where I see the power growing. I see it growing for all of us in those areas. And so I hope that helped. I hope I was like, you know, all feedback's good feedback. I should have a look in the messages so I
Yeah,
can
I
see
think
what.
one of the first online early on readings that I did, and it's kind of like I'm really sorry, but I kind of have to say what is coming through, and sometimes it's not, you just kind of learn how to, I don't want to say sugarcoat it, but you put it in a way that's a little more palatable. But sometimes people just don't want to hear it, and it's like, they're not up for it. And it's like, I'm really sorry, but don't shoot the messenger. So if something hard does come through, which I don't feel like any of that is here in today, but something did happen. It was kind of put me off for a hot minute. And I ended up kind of taking a break because I thought, well, did I do something wrong? Did I misinterpret something? And it's like I kept getting, no, people don't want to hear it sometimes.
Yeah, yeah. I think it helps in the delivery as well.
Yeah.
Um, all right. Laura would like a reading.
Yes.
All right.
Um, she haven't really said what if she's got a question or if she has any kind of particular preference for a modality, but that's okay too.
All right. Oh, all right. Got it. All right. We have Laura. All right. So the first thing it showed me was the book. Okay. It was going to the book, but it wasn't telling me that it was you wanted the reading from the book. It was letting me know that you are read from the book. So, and like you have teachings, you've read the Bible. Okay. Long story short, you read the Bible, but then you've read lots of other books too. So anyway, um, okay, and we move on to here. You got, where are we? You got Haggles, and that is delays, tests, and challenges. Okay, you've got challenges, things that are okay, they've been around, but they keep growing, they keep growing, and they keep growing. And it's like, if you don't do something about them soon, you're not going to be able to get out from underneath them. delays, that fits with that as well. And the test is the challenge to get out there and just do it. The test is you pushing yourself to do it. Yes, Spirit is talking through me. Then I got on the cards, you got the Nine of Swords, which I got down anxiety, guilt, mental anguish, overthinking situations. Slow the ADHD brain down. Okay, you'll be okay on this. And then I've got organized patterns. That was the one from the book, and there was a full stop. So organized patterns. So this is a regular occurrence. You go through this, and then you get to the end and you look back, and before you know it, you've fallen back off the wagon and you're doing this again. And it is a psychological area. Okay, it's your overthinking. Do they like me? Don't they like me? Why didn't they get back to me sooner? Sort of thing. It's not because of an anxiety. It feels like it's more of a, it does, honestly. It feels like it's more of an ADHD thing. You think faster. You're on a faster frequency than most of them out there around you. And things, you have your way of getting things done and just doing them. Dun, 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 dun. All right. But then that's the tests and the challenges, is when these others step up and they start harnessing your energy, all these things that you have in these regular patterns start to go out the window. And that's when you go, oh shit, gotta stop, gotta pull myself up, gotta get back on this track. And here we go again, here we go again. That's what I saw from that one. I hope that means something to you. I hope you get something good from that.
Oh,
Yeah.
man. I kind of felt as you were kind of going through that though too. It was like because you mentioned ADHD a few times, and it's almost like because there is this cycle that the cycle hasn't yet kind of alleviated, and that's why it keeps the on the same track. But it's like now that she's a little more aware of it, there's like this retraining going on. And
Yeah.
it's like an internal dialogue thing that's going on. And I don't know, there was some kind of planted root, and it might be, sometimes when we think in the past and when people say a word like nostalgia, they have a good feeling. But I'm sorry, sometimes nostalgia can be a little on the depressing side, let's be honest. So, there might be a little bit of like remorse and but it feels like too though that there is a lot of like fiery energy and a desire for a new beginning, a new start. And it's like, all right, I'm going to say some words now. Plug your ears. So it's like, I'm sorry if you are offended by this, but it's kind of like really the impact of is it's like, fuck this energy. I'm done with these thoughts, and great, I had this and now it's time to move on. And it's not that you're gonna forget it. You never forget it, but you can forgive it and moving
Yeah.
on with a new start. And it feels like there's a lot of abundance, whether it's something that's, in the physical form, but it's also like a very grounding sense that it's gonna like explode into some sort of a like a 3D bonus package.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to put it. Yeah,
Oh,
it just feels like what you just identified was the impetus, the starting point. It was like, now I'm aware of this and I have been aware of it, but now I know what to do with it. Maybe
yeah.
not in all the details, but something's there. I know it. I know
Yeah.
it.
Well,
Yeah, it
I
definitely. Nostalgia is thought of as a type of sadness,
mm,
and it can be. And it's like changing our internal dialogue about those sadnesses about we need to change
Yeah.
we can't change the past, but
Perception.
we can change how to review the past.
Yeah. I mean, why are you sad in the first place? What is the sadness about it in the first place? You know, where did that sadness come from? Is it because someone's gone and you can't share that space that you have shared? Or, I look at all of them as that, I can't be the person I used to be and stand at a funeral or even at a wedding and let the waterworks go because it's not that I don't feel it, it's because I do feel it. It's because I've learned how to control what I do feel. And this is something that we all have. We do it all the time. And when we catch ourselves doing it, we get stronger and stronger at doing it. A couple of other things I just wanted to add there is with the anxiety, you're just on a higher frequency than most people around you. You just think faster than most people around you. The guilt part, it's not. There's just got nothing. It's not your fault. All right, you were where you were meant to be at the time. Okay. When I say at the time, I'm saying at the time that this is taking place. I'm getting a really dizzy sort of a whoa sort of sensation. It's not an earthquake. This is coming from someone else. I don't know where this is coming from. I'm not sure yet. See if I get more information with this one. Um, be yeah um uh okay, be more focused, find that focus point and just go with that. It's like um you are the bug spray and all of those bugs around you will start falling away. Okay, you don't need that energy. You got your own going on. You don't need to be feeding them anymore. That is what's made you toxic. You don't need that. All right.
Yay. Okay, so here's Auric's twisted version.
Oh God.
Laura, be the windshield, not the frickin' bug, right? I mean that. I mean, ultimately,
Wait,
that's
wait,
it,
wait,
and if you kind of put that into context and perspective, that's ultimately what it is. You acknowledge the past, you say, yep, that happened. And when I was as a direct care worker in with serious mental illness patients, that it's okay to grieve, it's okay to be sad, don't live there, it's not okay, that's not healthy in any aspect of your life. So moving on from that, acknowledging it, and it doesn't happen all at once. And even when you feel you've been successful with it, guess what? It's going to creep up and knock
Yep.
on your door.
Yep.
Don't don't be fearful of opening that door, because that's what allows you, when you open that door to the sadness and you say, "Hey, I know you're there. I acknowledge you."
Yeah.
You can close the door on it, saying it's okay. And if you can kind of imagine that as something that's dissipating, it dissipates, but also it is something that you can integrate into who you are to help you with your expansion process. I don't know. That's kind of like really, it's like, but you know what I mean? It's all part of it. It's all part of us, this dark and light and shadow and BS, right? Belief
Oh
system.
yeah. Yeah. It is. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's
Hmm.
pretty good readings actually. I quite
Yeah.
enjoyed that. I quite enjoyed
Put it
that.
in your words, sweet as.
Yeah. I hope you all got something good out of that. I mean, what I've learned from doing readings and stuff over the time is you don't have to give anybody a bad reading. You never have to give them a bad reading. When you start making that connection with the person you're going to read for, then you can say, okay, well, you can gauge where the emotional level is. But you at the same time, whenever I see anything of a negative sort of connotation, I will turn it around. I'll turn it around because what am I going to get from being in that negative space with that information. Nothing. Nothing is going to draw me into some bloody hole I don't need to be in. So what are the good things? What are the good aspects that I can get from being in this situation? And that's where I go from this. So, I love talking to whomever comes along, whether it's solid form or whether it's spiritual or whether it's just in my head. We'll never know.
I don't know. What do you mean, just in your head, man? I mean, because
I
that,
know.
no, I mean, we can jump again. We can jump off in that deep end of the pool and take this in a whole different direction. But yeah. So I don't know. Because I think one of the things that you and I had talked about too was doing individual readings, but at some point we are actually going to be doing something a little closer on the mark for more public. I don't want to say political. I don't want to say any of the popular. I don't want to say you know what I mean? No, yeah, environmental, because there's all kinds of stuff going on. And my big thing is we have a buzzillion people out there to tell us what's wrong with the world. And one of the things I would like to see happening is the solutions. So what is the
Yes.
solution? And here's the challenge is that your solution may not work for me. I need my own personal solution because I'm in a different space and place than what you are. So let's figure out what it is, where we're at in our, granted, there is a degree of collectiveness with those that turn up, but we also have to consider the individual. So if somebody has something going on that they would like some clarity on, maybe the next time we do this, we can have a more broad spectrum um, uh, maybe outlook on what we can help people with because
Yeah.
people are scared in some areas of the world, and I don't think there's any need to be scared about do diddy.
Yeah.
Although I was pretty freaked out when I felt challenged at work earlier this week. I thought somebody was going to pummel me, but that's okay. I'm okay with it. Not so much that if it would have happened, that would not have been okay. You know what I mean, though. You
Yeah.
deal with wherever you're at with what you got put in front of you in the best way that you possibly can. And I think that's what these readings are intended to do is figure out what that is for each of us. Dang, you know what? Those damn rods. I taught my kids
I
that
know.
for my homeschool, right?
Yeah.
I taught my kids how we made rods, baby. We got those things working. We tested plants, and I'll be damned, with homeschool, I asked those kids, "Hey, do you remember when we did this and we tested the plants and my mom came over?" I was like, "No."
Uh,
They didn't remember. It's like, "Oh, you suck." No, I didn't say that. But you know what I mean? It's very powerful. Look at that. Am I doing
no,
that to you? Sorry.
no. I'm talking to them at the moment. I'm telling them to find balance. I'm just making sure they're tuned in.
Find balance. I'm sorry, Auric's here. There is no balance.
All right. All right. I'm going to ask a question. Is there going to be a bomb detonation? You know what I'm talking about.
No.
Yes. No, my cross is yes.
No.
Yeah. It
Okay,
says
so what
yes.
kind of
Find balance.
detonation? What kind of detonation? Is it something environmentally harmful?
Or any detonation is environmentally harmful. What the heck is up with that question?
Because some of them are less, they don't linger as long.
Oh, gotcha. All right.
So
Do you
some
know?
can go kablooey and others can go kablooey
All
for
right, find balance.
decades, as long as we are,
Is there going to be a
as long
detonation?
as we're able to kind of exit other people, because there are
Really? Find
maybe
balance.
yes, maybe no, because one went up and one did not.
No, one's being a bit stubborn. My rods have their own personalities, and if they don't want to work, they're not going to work. right? If I put them in the wrong hands, they let me know this is the wrong hand.
Read between the lines, lady. Come on. We aren't
Yeah,
working tonight.
yeah. Anyway, it says there's going to be a detonation, so I don't know what that, whether it's it didn't look like it was going to be a good one, put it that way.
Well,
So
and you
we'll
know,
see.
yeah, and you
Mhm.
know what? And you know what too? I feel like we have control over this. Anytime, and I'm going to go back to this story, and I know I've told it to you, Stone, that when I was working, I had visited somebody, very high maintenance individual in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. I had to cross over. It was frickin' February. I had to cross that Mackinac Bridge, and I was packing my stuff up, and it's like, ooh, I had a really bad, it was like, fell on me. If anybody knows what like a weighted blanket is,
Yeah,
woof, that was on me. And I felt, whoa, what is that? So I stopped, I pulled some cards, and it was like immediately I was saying, I love my car. I did, no, nothing's happening. Are you kidding me? I'm going to get a car accident. I kind of got this affirmation. And I was like,
yeah,
okay, so if I am the divine creature that I am, I'm going to say no.
yeah,
I'm going to change that trajectory into something that is the most golden experience. And I held that thought and emanated that from inside. And
yeah.
I have to tell you, that was probably one of the most beautiful crossings of that bridge I had to do over like 2 or 3 years. It was amazing. In February, Upper Michigan, forget it. It was phenomenal. It was phenomenal. So we have control over this. We have the ability to shift this stuff.
Mm,
So we can
yeah.
say something now, but that doesn't mean it's going to actually come to fruition if we hold that the collective perspective.
Yeah, I put one down. I did a reading for the collective, all right? And I got in the runes there's a bone that's got nothing on it. It's open to all possibilities. And I call it Odin's eye, right? It's the wisdom eye. It's open to all possibilities. And then I got spiritual culture and mentorship. And I'm like, oh, what? Oh, what? Um, and it said playing the role of your inner higher self. And that was the collective. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I can see we can do that. So at the moment, it's not going to tell us what the outcome is in the runes and in the cards. It's like there is a lot of teachers, guides, coaches, us coming out with our abilities. So it's like a cell phone. Soon, everybody's going to have one. Everybody's going to be stepping into their, wow, I can communicate through this way. I can communicate through that way. When we do communicate, we do need to be careful and cautious because there are others out there who are willing to jump in to us as conduits when we're doing this. So be cautious of the what we do at the same time. Um, but I do like the higher self, playing a higher self role. That's pretty good. I like that one. So that was my collective reading for all. Believe in yourself. Believe in your higher self, whether you want to call it your God or whatever it is. Believe in your mana because that's what's going to save you at the end of the day. So,
Yeah, I think the words have a lot to do with what we manifest in our life, but it's not just the words, it's the consistent intention, whether it's in your subconscious or your conscious of what you're thinking of, but raising that awareness. I don't know, this is starting to sound a little convoluted, but I think the idea is that and actually I talked about this today too, that you and I have talked about love. I just did a love light, and we did that too. That's on Rumble, and I did a love light and whatever. What is it? Love light and enlightenment with Michael Koff last night. And I think the thing is, it's not just the words; it's also the intention behind the words. And you and I talked about it, and that's probably before you and I even talked, I had something dictated on my phone that was like, oh my God. When I looked at it this morning, I was like, that's what she and I talked about just the other night. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. So this is all starting to fall into place that that's three affirmations of the idea that even though you say something, that energetic intention and that I don't know how there's like this energetic aspect. I'm just going to say it. So we talked about when somebody says I love you, and I have also experienced this when someone says I love you, and even though they might, and here's the thing, they may mean it in the moment, but when they turn around, whether it's a week, a month, a year, or a decade, and they say to you, I never loved you, you're kind of going, which that's happened to me.
Yeah.
And you kind of go, huh? What? That doesn't make any sense because you feel like love is eternal, love is long lasting, love is, and I don't think it's unconditional, but what it is it's unforgiving. I mean, it can be unforgiving, but it can also be very forgiving. I forgive you that I feel like you wronged me, and I'm not gonna say that's okay, but I'm gonna say, it's like fool me once, shame on
Yeah.
you, fool me twice, shame on me. I'm not gonna expose myself to that again.
Yeah.
But I don't think that frequency, that love frequency, is constant. I don't think it's something if someone says I love you, that could be meaning many, many, many different things as to what's behind it.
Yeah.
So it's again, it's that impact of our words, but it's also the intention.
Yeah.
So that's why I know that is it the 27th we're going to talk to Elsa?
I'm not sure of the date. I've got to go back and have a look and get it
Well,
all.
I have it on here about Elsa. I don't remember the time, but I know it's the 27th. It has to be in the evening because I'm working that day.
Yeah.
But I know she's a bit of a word analyst.
Oh, fantastic. I love her magic.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I love to play with words, the phonics of it. It takes you into a deeper understanding of these words, how they came about, how they, words are like anagrams, and they take away a certain amount of your power. To find one word written two or three different ways, it doesn't matter whether it's a good meaning or a bad meaning. It's an energy harvesting. So our words are energy harvesting hooks, pretty much. So when you can change the meaning behind the word that you use, we grew up going and the teachers telling us, oh, you're a bad speller, you're a bad speller, you shouldn't be spelling it this way. It's got to be spelled this way. You go to another country and they tell you, oh, no, you've got to spell it this way, you've got it wrong. And it just keeps going on and on. Now you've got to change it into a different shape because we don't use L's over here. It's like, okie dokie then. So the words became frequency. They became like, if I've got an object here and I, at the, I feel that vibration in my hand picks up that vibration and sends it through the rest of me. And if I just do it out loud, my area, my space feels it. As soon as I'm letting it out, I'm also feeling it. And then it comes through the different layers and then it gets projected out there. So I'm cautious with these barriers. When I go out into a public space, I'll smile, I'll be courteous, just to get the fuck out of there as fast as I can. Excuse my French. Because otherwise I'll end up hearing somebody's life story.
You know, what's interesting that you brought up is that you're saying it's projected outward and you can feel it all around you. Well, when you do that, and I think I told you about that little video that Ian Welsh had posted on YouTube somewhere. He's a Reiki master, and he manifested a healing ball. He said his little mantra, and he pushed it out at anybody who was willing to receive it. And
Yeah,
I've used that a couple of times. I haven't used it in a couple of years, but it's very, very powerful. And I think he did this like 9 years ago.
yeah,
So if we can keep in mind the words that we speak, the sounds that we make and produce, that go into this microphone or that microphone, that is projected into where we're at
yeah,
and more readily, because I kind of feel like there's still that quantum aspect of what we're doing. But when, as we're receiving these as these physical beings, this is also making it more relatable, if you will, and
yeah,
more accessible when we're able to do these things and make it available to others. But you kind of made me laugh about the whole words and the formations, and you're spelling it wrong, you're spelling it right. I lived in New Zealand. I didn't know stone at the time, but I remember I was looking for underarm without
yeah.
without, get ready for it, aluminum.
Okay, yeah.
And I wasn't in a New World. I was in one of the other more popular supermarkets, and it was
Packaze.
local, and it was in I think it was in Johnsonville. I can't remember. It was around that area. Um, it had to have been in Johnsonville because I think I walked down there and I remember standing there. I was looking and looking and I couldn't find any. And I saw a clerk and I asked her, I said, "Can you help me please find something that, was an underarm without aluminum in it?" And she goes, "Sure." And she starts picking up the different products on the shelf. And there was this really crotchety old guy who walks up behind me and he goes, "Aluminium." And it's like, I didn't know this dude from Adam. And it's like, I kind of shook his head. And even the clerk was like, so it was like, "Thank you." And it's like, it's up in here. And I'm looking for something without aluminum. So that's just me being me. But it is about that whole idea of how we're receptive or not receptive of our culture too. Because
Yeah,
if you look at something like aluminium, it's the same substance.
it
It has
is.
the same substance, but it's different only in the mind of that individual.
Yeah.
But does it have the
It
same
it comes
resonance? So I mean, it's kind of like this weird thing.
when it comes to like metals and minerals, I look at it as a different type of substance. They you can use a certain frequency on them. It's like the water. You can use a certain frequency and it'll remember them. Like it'll remember patterns and designs and information. And it's the same as the minerals and the metals. The metals have been hardened and, basically constructed, but they're still going to hold resonance. They're still going to hold information, aren't they? So I just want to jump on to Laura's question. Well, it's not really a question. You see colors and auras and chakras. Well, I look at the auric fields that we have around us as the dimensions that we that are connected to our chakras, and these are our portals in and out of these dimensions. They're like when I look at my crown chakra, I look at myself as this little tiny being inside this crystal. Woo! And it's my cockpit. I can go anywhere with it. I have control. If the frequencies are in alignment, I can travel through all the chakras to get into one of the other ones. It's one of the things I'm doing at the moment is looking into, because I do the travel, I do the dimensional journeys, but I now want to take it to another level where I can do all of those journeys one after the other or simultaneously in the same one. That's where I'm working with them at the moment. When you might have seen some, I have a lot of weird shit that happens around me, and anybody who gets to know me will see that. I turned green a couple of weeks ago. What I'm saying about the green is I see orbs. They will communicate with me. One of the forms of communication is in the way their color appears to me. Now, the day that I turned green, there's a blue orb, a pale blue orb above my head behind me. So with all the distraction of the green going on, I look at it at this point, because you've got to allow the fact that what we do in the moment is the right thing. A couple of minutes down the track, we might go, oh shit, I could have thought of a different way of doing that. This is the overthinking part. But then you go, no, you did the best that you could with the tools that you had available to you at that specific time. If you made a cock up or a balls up of it, then you go back and you fix it, because anything that is a mistake is room for growth. That's how I see that aspect of it. That's how I see with the minerals and stuff. If you have a negative connotation or perception of something, that's all you're going to see it as. That all the effects that you have on your body, that's what you're going to get, is the negative effects. But the minute you start changing it around, things, all of a sudden you look in the mirror and you're a different person, because you're when we detox, we're not just detoxing through the drinking and the fasting and the going out there and getting the sun or the urine therapy or the stargazing. It's also communication, inward communication with ourselves, going through the rubbish saying, well, I don't actually need that anymore. You don't serve any purposes. You did. Thank you. I'm moving on. Let it go. It might creep back in now and then for a piece of chocolate or something, but it's a visitor, and then you can send it on its way again. So there's all these different ways that we can start cleaning out, detoxing on our mental side of it. The more work we do, and people like to call it shadow work, the more shadow work that we do, you have a location. What is it? What is the point that you're looking for? At first, I was looking for my higher self because I had a bone to pick with her. Then, when I found my higher self, she put me on a mission. I had to find my inner child. I found my inner child. I didn't want to have a communication with them because of what they went through. But then, like now, we're besties. And because my inner child was able to release a lot of that trauma by communicating with me as the adult caregiver of it, what used to be really holding me back, my stuck state, is no longer there. It's not there anymore. And it's like, wow, I learned to fly. You don't have to have wings to fly. That's what I've learned anyway. So I hope you got something from that. The chakras, if you go outside and you see a rainbow, that's a representation to me. That's a representation of my chakras. Whichever color stands out the brightest to me, that's the one I have to pay attention to, because that's where I'm working in. So if it turns out to be the purple or the green, I need to spend more time in those areas along my chakra dimensions. That's showing me, oh, your throat dimension, your throat chakra, your throat dimension needs this. You need to put more time into your voice, your inner voice, your exterior voice, your surrounding. So you create your surroundings for that voice, and then you put on the color. You wear it because it's color magic. The color and the stones and anything that you surround yourself will enhance that frequency for that dimension at that time. So don't be surprised if you don't bump into a couple of orbs which are pink or blue or green or golden, because they're with us all the time now.
Yep, for sure. I think one of the things that threw that kind of zoned out for a second,
Sorry.
but there was definitely a little bit of a victory dance going on, and acknowledging that this this abundance is not all around us. It is us.
It is
It
us.
is us, and it is now. But with that happiness and glee, there's also a sense of vulnerability. And that's okay too, because that's part of the learning process and the expansion process. And shedding light, and I don't know if I necessarily want to call it dark, but it is shadow, and not dis, and I love this word, dispelling. It's not dispelling the shadow or the darkness, it's integrating it. And that's another word for integrating might be we're learning about it. And it's like, I had somebody tell me, it's like, you're badass. It's like, oh, okay. I mean, I think my ass is pretty good. It serves me well. So you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of like that whole thing of making sure that I'm okay with making mistakes and having the shadow, and maybe wanting to flip that guy off that cut me off on the freeway. And that's okay for wanting that, but you don't want to like kind of really move that forward. But I mean, I guess you kind of get the picture of it. There is this abundance, and as soon as we tap into that whole inner dialogue of realizing that we are this.
Yeah.
It's not accessible to us. We are this. We are this thing that we're looking for. There's no looking. You want to look for something out there? Go ahead. If you want something, look in the mirror, and that will speak volumes. You might not want to hear it, but that will speak volumes of that. Then that's maybe where the vulnerability comes into play.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just kind of talking through the top of my head. Better than talking
No,
from
no,
other parts of your
no,
anatomy, right?
we could speak in a different language and it wouldn't matter because the message would get through one way or another and it would be translated into whatever language that was needed at the time. That's one lesson they taught me when I started doing my throat chanting. All right, that was like you can't do it, you can't do it, you can't do it. This was with light language. I'm like, it's something different to me. I can't do that one. It's just gibberish. I learned that at school. I can't do it if it's not a meaningful thing to me. So I'll just let others do that. That's fine. They're getting something from it. That's good. I'm not. So there must be others like me, other mutants like me. That don't get that and need something different. So I just opened my mouth because everybody just kept saying, open your mouth and see what,
See
falls
what
out.
happens. Yeah.
Yeah. So I did. And then I started, wow, when I started doing it, it was like, okay, now I can feel myself actually opening up the different chakras when I'm doing it.
Mhm.
I've seen, I've seen, I've been encased in like a golden light. I mean, this is me talking. I don't talk about this sort of stuff.
You
You
do
know,
now.
it happened. It happened. I'm standing there. I'm doing this vocalization. It's part of my routine now, my exercise routine, because I feel like it's doing something around me. Like if you stand there and you imagine yourself, you're in your force field around you, your egg. Some people call, some beings call it egg shape. It's our energy fields. And when all of our energy fields are pumping at the best, we're going to have levitation. We're gonna get our access back to all our telepathy, our telekinesis, all our different areas of communication. I don't all abilities that I have, I look at in one dimension, I'm going to use that ability more than I use that ability. And when I come back here, I have a little smidgen of all of the abilities from each of these different dimensions. And this is where I'm at. So by me using and listening to the feedback, the information, the feeling states as an empath, as a sensitive, um, I have voices telling me, no, 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 go move to the next one. That's not for that person. And I'm like, no, I'm not listening to you right now. This is the modality I'm using, and I'm trusting its guidance. So instinct, first instinct is very important. It comes down to the words. When you hear that word, your first instinct with that word is going to tell you everything. That person, that you don't need to listen to the rest of what that person's got to say, because that word, that tonality, that information from that intent, boom, you know what's coming. If you give yourself that confirmation that you have that reading ability, you're able to read the frequencies around the people around you. It makes for a more harmonious environment. It really does. But
Yeah,
you'll
and I
find that
think, yeah, I
you'll
mean,
have
you
it with
really,
animals as well.
oh, yeah, big time. My animal left the room, but you talked about accessing when you come back, you've accessed these different heightened senses that are not typically recorded as a human sensory ability. So they would call them extrasensory. So it's
Yeah,
outside of this 3D. So here's the thing. Science is all about measurability. And if that measurability isn't there, they're not going to acknowledge it. It's like it doesn't exist. Even though you can sit there, and now they're doing tests because of technology that they're able to measure some of these things. But I guess the thing is that where it really is starting is what you're trying to, what you kind of conveyed was that there's a retraining process going on. And it's not about retraining your there's a lady by the name of she's a psychologist and a neuroscientist, is Dr. Caroline Leaf, and she wrote a book many years ago called Retrain Your Brain, had a whole curriculum on it. And she talked about the different learning modalities. It's like, oh, I'm better at this modality than this. I'm better as a, hands-on learner rather than a written word. I
yeah,
learn more from writing than I do from reading. We are downplaying our abilities when we say I am a kinetic learner.
yeah,
I'm better at doing than at reading about it. We're downplaying our abilities, and these abilities are accessible to all of us in that particular aspect of learning, but it's also about our spiritual brain. And that's what Stone just talked about, is our spiritual brain, is that expanding those abilities, those talents, those skills are all still there. Again, I think I'm going back to that roto rooter and cleaning out those channels, right? Give it that mega divine flush, and we should be able to get a lot better flow. I don't care what it is.
yeah,
I'm kind of hanging on because I really enjoy, I'm really partial to cards because I love the artwork. I love the feel of the cards. And I said I have like a, a love-hate relationship with a pendulum, but it's like, dang it, I'm gonna do this. I am determined to get that roto rooter going for a pendulum. I'm also doing more work on just um I guess I would call it like divine connection and interpretation, where you don't use the cards
yeah,
because they're a filter. You don't use the pendulum. It's a filter. And there's a lot of noise in the ether that can interfere. And this is where we do have to kind of quiet ourselves and disconnect and be able to get that funneling. That's why I like to go to the source and then ask for help with the interpretation as it comes down to this little meager thing here that we're calling a brain, and this is what we have to work with. But I guess the point is that's all part of each one of us having a unique way of retraining that spiritual brain to reconnect
yeah,
and clean out those channels for us to do these things. And that's when the levitation is going to happen. Who needs, what do they call those things where somebody was saying they had these devices and you'd see them on like sci-fi things where they would, it's like, I want to have, a salad. And you'd say what was on the salad and they'd push a button and there was this salad. You know what I mean? And that's sci-fi, but you know what, if you think about it and think about it can be very powerful that if I want to manifest that salad, I can
Oh,
manifest the
yeah,
salad.
yeah. Or
And
you
it's
can,
not going to be in my mind, in my dream, and I'm going to wake up hungry. No, it's going to manifest on a plate with whatever I want on it and in it. And I'm going to enjoy it.
yeah,
I think we have that. It's just the channels are plugged.
yeah. I like the fact of having one meal a day because then you keep your taste buds. And when you do have something small, boom, you know. So remembering not overdosing ourselves all the time, allowing ourselves to have that break now and then from these things, from overthinking things, from, saying, okay, brain, shut up. Today we're having a day off. Go to the beach, go and do something. This is me telling my brain to leave its space, leave its post for a little bit. So anything could happen when I'm on the loose. So, allow yourself to do that because we're always learning. We don't notice the areas that we're learning. I mean, I'm practicing sitting in the dark again. I love it. And that was only because suddenly we've got no light bulbs. For some reason, everything decided it was gonna blow up all at the same time. The lights were on. I was aggro. I walked underneath them, and long story short, we got to buy some more light bulbs. It happens all the time.
Okay. Oh my goodness.
Oh
Wow.
man, learning to harness our abilities is really quite a big deal when you realize that, oh geez, calm down, you broke a light bulb. Calm down. Otherwise you'll break another one.
I know.
They've been designed for, I'm sure he designed them for people like us. But here's my work in progress. This is my pendulum and rod chart. Okay, in a couple of weeks, that's going to be on a board, and it does the whole spiritual side. It does the off-worlders side, um, and then we've got the reality that we're in right now: animals, illnesses, family, ancestors, looking for missing objects like cheese.
So Stone just showed you that. She showed me that before, and I said, I've had this sitting in my drawer for I don't know how many months.
Yeah, yeah.
So there, that was like, So that's my ADHD mind. It's like, moving on. So I would get like half a picture. Stone's got the ability to sit there and see it through. So that's kind of awesome.
Oh,
But
look, they'll give me little bits and pieces. Like I've got a whole bar they told me to make. I put all the lines in it, and then it was like, well, what are the lines for? Uh, does it have a name? What is it? It will show up later on down the track, okay? I'm like, did I have brain fog? Because I know I had an idea, otherwise I wouldn't have drawn that line. Oh no, you
right.
don't have to have the idea. There's another part of your brain that's working overtime. Ah, okay. So when I do go into those different places, it's like know who is there when you are going these places. I'm cautious when I do meditations. Anybody who offers a form of meditation, I have to have a level of trust. If I don't feel that it sits right with me, I won't go through with it. Okay, I'll leave it at that and just do my own. But as a learner, I'd like to see all these different places and spaces people have to offer in their realities that they're sharing with us all. I mean, come along, tell us what you do. Tell us how you do it. Like Arizona is saying she used her pendulum this morning. Love to know more. Show us how you use yours. You might have a different technique than what we do. I have I have two pendulums. I have more than that, but I have two main ones. This is my main one, right? It turns, for me, the head of it turns purple, a glowing purple. When she's ready to read, she turns purple. Now it's connected to a spyglass, right? An old-fashioned Victorian elephant spyglass. It's a magnifying glass, and I'll hold it a certain way in my hand so that there's no interference in the chain whatsoever. Okay, there you can see it, absolutely nothing. So it'll do. It's amazing. I love it. I really love my pendulum. It'll spin, and then all of a sudden it'll be like a force that'll pull it aside, and it goes by itself. And if I change the subject really fast, and it goes straight to the opposite way, it's like, wow, that's not, is that me doing that? If that's me doing that, then there's more power there than I expected. If it's another force doing it, because I communicate with, and I'm not, if it gives me lies, then I don't work with it and I tell it to bugger off. Yet if it gives me truths, and I'm always questioning it, every time I ask a question, I'll also be having other intent going on here. I want to know the truth, only the truth. All right, and that's that. I think I get a better answer from my pendulum than I do from AI.
Let's not even go on that route. And it's kind of funny because again, with my being raised the way I was, that was like a big no-no. But I got this from
Oh yeah,
somebody I used
nice.
to work with, and I had this silver chain, and I have this really it's all very, very, very dark, but that's amethyst.
Yeah.
And I think there's tw 12 sides on it. So I just popped that into there and I thought, well, that's kind of cool. And it's too heavy. I thought I was gonna wear it as a necklace. It's too heavy, but that's my pendulum.
Oh, that'll make a good pendulum. Yeah. Yeah. Nice.
So this is just kind of lives here. And it's like you said, it's even though you're looking for this and you don't know the answer, you know the answer that you get. It's like, you're lying to me, aren't you? No. Yes, yes, you are. Yeah, yes, you are. No. And it's like, all right, so you're one of those imps that are teasing me right now, aren't you? Yes. It's like, go away. And that's when, it's all done with humor, but you kind of have that intuitive side of you that also knows, when to give it the read between the lines thing. It's like, no, you're not wanted here. We need something that's gonna and I think they serve their purpose.
Yeah.
I think they serve
Yeah.
their purpose in that they are here to raise our awareness that
Yeah.
regardless, we know what's right and we know what's wrong.
Yeah. The
And it
other one that
really
I
is a
use,
choice.
yeah, the other one I use is a wooden one, and it's the chain is made out of my hair.
Wow, talk
So
about
yeah,
personal.
yeah. Well, this is what I'm saying. It's like if you can do it, do it.
If
See
you
what
don't
comes of
if you don't resonate with that stone, there's something wrong. Sorry.
it.
Between the chicken bones and the damn hair chain on there's something really amiss.
Oh no. No, I just go with my ancestral self that tells me this is how you do it. Okay, I'll do it. You know, I'm not worried about being burnt at the stake. I love a good bonfire.
I think we've all
So
been there
the
at
more the
some given
merrier.
point in time, depending on your perspective. I think we all had a hot foot, as it were.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
definitely,
yeah.
definitely. Well, I think it's been a really good, we made it happen regardless of all the technical bloody issues beforehand. Oh my goodness gracious. I did this earlier. Everything was perfect. Everything was a go. And then it wasn't.
More
So,
than once. I mean, you did it more than once,
oh,
you said. So yeah. Well,
yeah.
there's always that chance of making it work. We don't know when the next date we're gonna do this, right?
Oh, at this point, no, probably every around the same time, once a week is what we're kind of looking at. We do have some guests lined up, guest readers, and we'll probably combine both the group, but we do the reading for people. As it gets bigger, we probably won't have time to do a lot of chit chat. But the other side of it is come along. If you've got a story to share, cryptid, spiritual, what your growth is, what your journey has been thus far, come and share it with us. Come and share it. Mind your P's and Q's because we all got to. But yeah, once we figure out the rumble, we won't have to worry about that one.
Correct. Correct. It's a done deal. But yeah, we're gonna fingers crossed we'll be able to do something that will be live through Rumble and have our guest Elsa. I don't remember Elsa's last name. She's
Elsa
brilliant.
Dillon. Yeah.
Yep, Dylan. Yep.
Yeah. Dillon,
So
yeah.
so yeah, let's make this happen. And I'll post the our contact stuff below if you want to reach out to Stone or myself for anything else for support or readings or whatever it is that you kind of, is there a Facebook group? No, we don't have a Facebook group.
No, we're just starting up. We're just starting up. So you're part of the new crew, mate.
Yeah,
So, eventually I'm probably going to see you on here with us, and you can make fun of us in person.
good luck with that. Just saying.
Yeah, we're made
But
of
yeah,
made of tougher skin these days.
yeah, I good natured, open minded, but I think Rumble's a little bit better platform because I don't know about anybody else, but I particularly don't like to be censored. I have to be censored at
Yeah,
work, so I don't want to be censored when I do stuff that's like fun. Hey,
yeah, exactly.
So,
Freedom of speech, remember?
eh,
Yeah. All
yeah.
right.
All right.
Okay.
Well, hey, thanks everybody for stopping by. Check out Stone and my website again. I'll get it up in the what do you call it? In the description box below. And if for any of the staunch rumblers, we'll be able to put this up on Rumble as well. Yeah. All right. Cool.
Definitely.
Cool, you.
All right.
Everybody, take care. And we'll see you on the flip side, yeah?
Yeah.
Cheers.
Be safe. Catch us later.
And if you can't be